everyone, it's Tamara. Welcome back to my channel. Last week I released a post-workout stretching video to improve your flexibility, and I received such amazing notes from you. Thank you so much for many of you, letting me know that you are working on your flexibility and it's something that you enjoy doing. So I decided to put together a 7-day challenge so that we could go through different body parts, and by the end of it, hopefully you will improve your flexibility. If you are new to the channel, please do subscribe to this channel as I release exercise videos often, and leave me a comment below on how much you liked or what you would like to see changed for next time. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy this workout. Oh, and today is day 1, so we're working on hips and chest.
Hello friends, as I've mentioned, I'm so excited to have you join me for day 1 of our flexibility challenge. Let's get started by reaching way above our head. Make yourself feel as long as possible and don't forget to breathe. You're reaching and you're trying to touch the ceiling. So what we're gonna do next is we're just giving ourselves a chance to warm up and get into this stretching routine. Have your arms stretched to the side, and almost as though someone is pulling you from side to side, really try to reach for the wall on the side left and right. Next, hinge at the hips and fold over. Reach as far as possible. If you can touch the floor, that's great, but otherwise, your shin or your knee is absolutely fine. We're just getting started in our flexibility journey and everybody's in a different spot. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see that from a different view. We're going to fold over again, reaching overhead and then hinging at the hips. We're going to fold down and try our best to either touch the floor or your knee or your shin, anything that you can reach for. And it's great if you can keep your legs as straight as possible, even hugging the back of your legs if that's possible in your routine today. If not, keep your legs bent. So I find that a key thing in improving flexibility is repetition of the exercises and not so much ever forcing anything where it feels painful. Here I'm just bending into a 90-degree angle. It's sitting back. It's almost like I'm sitting back in a chair and then straightening my legs up again. Take your time. When you're ready, roll slowly up vertebrae by vertebrae at a time. I'm going to face you again, and we're going to stand with our legs apart, more than hip width distance apart, and we're going to just hinge forwards and backwards with our hands on our hips, just pushing forward and back. Okay, once again, it's about that repetition, so we're going to fold over, and whatever you can reach, whether that's the floor or anything close to the floor is great, and just hang on there for a moment. Keeping your back as flat as possible, what you can see I'm doing here is I'm just kind of letting my arms relax, stretching it out, rotating my wrists, and I'm going to push my legs a little bit further apart. Keeping your back flat, look up for a moment, and then reach back down. Back is flat the whole time. If you can, reach and hang onto your ankles or the back of your calf. Anything that you can reach is fine, and we're going to stay folded over. You may also choose to have your hands in front of you for support instead, if that feels better to you. Okay, let's pull our hands in, flat back, and inch our legs in together a bit more. Hands at the hips, we're gonna hinge and roll upwards. Okay, keeping your back flat as always, we're really gonna open up the hips now. I'm gonna have you lean to one side. It's like you're doing a side lunge to your left. Slowly lean into it, and if you can, put your hands on the floor, or maybe even go into a prayer in front of you. Your other leg is as straight as possible with your foot facing the ceiling if that feels comfortable. And as slow as possible, we're gonna get out of this pose by inching upwards and returning to the center with our legs hip width distance apart. And again, we're gonna repeat, hands on the hips, we're gonna hinge forwards and backwards, or even shake out your hips. Just keeping in mind that nothing should feel forced. Okay, let's get ready to go to the other side. Side lunge to your right instead this time. And as I've mentioned, if you can, put your hands on the floor or maybe in a prayer in front of you, and your other leg stays as straight as possible with your foot facing the ceiling. Here I'm just actually hanging on to my right knee instead. Now you can stay as long as you like, or I'm gonna show you we're gonna get out of it and go back to the center, and once again, flat back, hinge forward and backward, just keeping that hip as open as possible. Okay, next, arms out to the side, open up your chest, and we're getting ready for our first triangle pose, starting at facing the left side. So toes in the front, pointed to the left, lean towards the left, hips back, and if you can, have your hand either hang onto your ankle on the left side or the floor, and your other hand and arm are up reaching towards the ceiling or on your hips if that's more comfortable. And when you stand back up, return to center and shake out those hips. Repetition. And now we're getting ready to do our triangle pose on the right hand side. Having your toes point towards the right, hips leaning back, and reach towards the right before bending over so that you can either grab onto your ankle or the floor with your left hand and arm reaching towards the ceiling and staying there for as long as you feel comfortable. So either you feel silly when you come back out and we return to center, or you feel groovy, but as I've mentioned, it's all about repetition, so once again, shake out those hips, leaning side to side. Hang out here for a moment with your hands on your hips and lean back as far as possible, opening up your chest and allowing for a back bend. Then we're going to reach with both of our hands meeting behind our backs before we return to center and shake it all out. In the next section, we're working on opening our chest. So pull your right arm in front of you across your body, in front, before you're going to actually have it go behind your back, and if possible, have your left arm pull it to the side of your body. Once again, arm in front before you reach behind your back like a bind, and have your left hand pull your right arm out to your side. Next, we shake it out and we get ready to do the same thing on the other side. So left arm pulled out in front of you with your right arm to assist, and then behind you so that your left arm is pulled behind you and to the side. Once again, left arm in front of you, and then finally behind you with your right hand to assist, pulling it to the side of your body as much as possible. This is really great for opening your chest. And it's not a lot of movement from what it looks like, but I do this almost every day, and it really helps improve your arm and your chest flexibility. Now we're going to go back to giving our hips a little bit of love. We're going to slowly make our way to the floor, slowly. Sit down and go into your butterfly pose. Heels are together and just shaking out and spreading your legs out as far as you can. You can always use your hands to help you, but don't hurt yourself. Don't force anything. And reset for a moment, pull your knees together and just stretch your legs out in front of you before you go back into your butterfly pose with your heels together and just opening up your hips. Next is one of my favorite poses from yoga. We're gonna go into a deep squat, also known as a malasana. So you're gonna stay low here, and with your feet as far pointing towards either walls, stay in a squat. This is actually not something that everybody works into right away. It's okay if you're not actually this deep for now. If you're not, just go as deep as you can. You might be standing halfway instead, and it might look a little bit more like this. It's like a sumo squat. Okay, next we're gonna make our way to one side of the mat after we stand back up, as we're gonna get ready to go into our first downward dog of the day. Take your time with this one. Lean back before you bend over and you fold and walk your way out into your first downward dog. Try to push your heels into the floor as far as you can, and it's absolutely okay if your heels aren't touching the floor to begin with. Pedal out your legs, anything to get yourself feeling really great. I like to look side to side in the downward dog. It gives you a reason to stay there a little bit longer, and it's a little bit... Now lift your right leg up, and then try to bring your knee forward. Once again, up and forward. Lift your leg up, and now maybe all the way up, and we're gonna do another hip opener by having our right heel as close to our butt as possible. Stay here for a moment, and when we come back out, don't straighten your leg right away, keep it bent, and then we're gonna just do some leg circles with your legs bent in one direction. It's really great for the hips before you change and rotate in the other direction. And then we're gonna slowly place our right leg back down, heel as close to the ground as possible, and we're gonna do the same on the other side. So essentially we're going to lift our left leg up and then put it back down. Lift our left leg up and put it back down. This is a variation if you don't want to bring your knee into your chest. And then all the way up, and if you can, what you're going to do is you're opening up your hips and having your left leg as close to your butt as possible and rotating it in and back to those hip openers. Rotate your legs. I do want to point out there for a moment that you can see that when I opened my hip, my left leg wasn't as flexible as my right, and that's absolutely okay. We can't always expect perfect symmetry on both sides. It's something that we just work towards. To get out of our downward dog, what we're going to do is slowly lower our knees to the ground and go into our tabletop before we push back into a child's pose to relax for a moment. It should feel really awesome here. Arms out in front of you. Now we're going to take it kind of easy as we slowly wind down to finish off the day one of our flexibility challenge and do a very, very small mini lunge. Left leg in front of you. You notice that I've rotated my right leg, which is my straight leg, to a 45-degree angle, and I'm going to go into my humble warrior next, meaning my arms are behind my back, still in that mini lunge, and I'm going to hinge and bend over. And then we're going to return to the center. We're going to shake out our shoulders and our hips and our head. And now we do our humble warrior on the other side. Right leg to the front, mini lunge, left leg in the back, rotated to a 45-degree angle, arms behind you, and here we go, hinge forward. When we come back out and return to center once again, flat back and shake out your hips. Your hips should feel really warmed up and super relaxed by now. And now, slowly make your way to your back, lying flat on your mat, and hug your knees into your chest just to give yourself a little bit of a back massage. And I'm next going to do a bit of a twist. So I have both knees to either side for just a moment. We're not really staying in our twist today. It's a bit of a chest opener. And then I'm going to relax by making myself go as far and wide as possible in my stretch now. This is my final move to stay relaxed. I'm in a star pose. Thank you so much for joining me on day one of this flexibility challenge. If you're new to the channel, please do subscribe as I'm going to be releasing even more exercise videos in this challenge series. Please be patient with yourself. Flexibility is a super fun and important thing to work on. I encourage you to do this video a few more times this week if you have the time for it, especially after a good workout when your muscles are feeling particularly sore and tight. Remembering that with flexibility, patience, repetition, and gravity is key. Nothing should feel forced or painful. Okay, I can't wait to see you for day 2.